What's that can't stop laughing moment where you're in a situation you shouldn't be laughing? Last year's Thanksgiving, right before the meal we all stood in a big circle and said a prayer and what we are thankful for. Well, my mom's uncle, I will refer to him as Uncle. His name is Dick, yes, Uncle Dick. When we all stood up, it was revealed that Uncle Dick had forgotten to zip up his jeans after going to the bathroom. My dad and I were across from Uncle Dick, and we were barely keeping from bursting out in all our laughter. Then he leaned over to me and whispered, "I'm thankful that Uncle Dick remembered to put on fresh underwear this morning." About halfway through the meal, we were still laughing about it. When Grandma came over to yell at us for being distracting, she asked what we were laughing at in a not-so-nice voice. We pointed her gaze across the room, and she couldn't help but laugh a bit. We told her it had been like that the whole meal. The way we had the table set up was a big square of folding banquet tables. So we could look out straight ahead of us at Uncle Dick's boxers. My father's funeral. My daughter was 3 months old and had a lot of belly pain. She farted so loudly that the priest needed to stop talking for us to stop laughing. He even told us that the church was a serious place and if we couldn't behave to get out. I told him the deceased was my father and I couldn't control my daughter's farts. I heard a kid fart in church during a wedding. I had to remove myself because I couldn't get my laugh under control. It was one of those loud echoes of the old wooden pew farts. Back in 2004, I was at my cousin's funeral. And my aunt was in such a shocked state that she couldn't stop laughing. She was known to do this at funerals. Because laughing is contagious, I also started laughing a little bit, and I had to go to the back of the church and to the bathroom to get it out of me. There's a scene in The Pianist, which is about the Holocaust, where a woman is shot in the street and her body folds in on itself as she falls to the ground. We watched that movie in sophomore year English class after reading the book, Night by Elie Wiesel. It was completely silent in the classroom during virtually the whole film. But at that part in particular, some kid piped up from the back of the class into the silence with this sad disappointed tone in his voice, like he'd just found out the lunch lady was out of chicken nuggets. "Oh, she folded." So many of us busted out laughing and it was completely inappropriate and I could not help it at all. The teacher was not pleased. My friends from college and I are still super close even 15 years later. There's an inside joke involving giving people a specific fake name that we always laugh about when we get together. Last week one of these friends tried to kill himself. We'll call him John. John's brother, another of the close friends, called me and told me that John had tried to kill himself and that he was at the hospital. Then he tells me that when asked for identification at the scene of his suicide attempt, John gave the paramedics the fake name from college. As sad as I was about what had happened, I burst out laughing so hard when he told me. I couldn't help it. I'm laughing now even thinking about it. All of the other members of the group had the same reaction when John's brother called them. All of them. In school, we did a course on mythology and had a project where we had to write our own mythological stories for the creation of creatures, places, etc. One kid wrote a story about how a man was abusing his horse, so the gods cursed him. One day his horse threw him onto a spear, which went through the back of his head and out of his forehead. And he transformed into the first unicorn. I couldn't stop laughing for a solid 5 minutes. The teacher berated me for laughing at violence, but the kid and I both thought that was funny as shit. Visiting my grandmother's grave with my grandfather for the first time a few years ago. Expected tears and a solemn day. Instead, we passed a grave marked Wanda and my grandfather said, "Well, I wonder what killed her." None of us could stop laughing. My grandmother would have loved it. Thanks for watching Opinion on Reddit. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell icon. Share with us your can't stop laughing moment where you're in a situation you shouldn't be laughing.